Hi guys, so we're out again recording bats. Over the last few videos we figured out all the best settings to use with these microphones, which are Clippy Ultras. They're on a tripod, being recorded into a Zoom F3. The gain setting is 512 for the both of them. It's recording in stereo, 32-bit float, 192 Hz for a high-res recording. The sun's just going down, so I'm going to press record, sit over there, drink a flask of tea, and I'll see you in the house and we'll see what we get. Well, here we are guys, back in the house, and that recording session did not go as expected. We had our optimum recording settings, as we've discovered over the last few videos, but the problem was not technical. As you see here in this picture, the equipment was set up by a building with a bit of open space, and behind it were a load of trees, which you saw in the introduction. Now what happened as it was getting dusk is that I saw the bats flying out from under the slates on the roof. They came straight overhead and then just flew off into the night. I've loaded up the recordings in RX, so we'll go there now and see what happened in those. Bats started emerging a few minutes after I pressed record, and over the first 20 minutes, while the bats were coming out, we've got a few signals. Look here in the 50 to 70 range, a few signals of bats, and I suspect those are just the bats leaving from under the roof and pinging out their sonars as they're going. Let's have a look at this bit here close up. There seems to be some activity going on. Not sure what that is or whether it's bats, but if we have a look over, we reduce that down a bit. If we have a look over about a 2-minute period, this is the amount of bats that we can see leaving the roost site, and it's not many. They're just coming out and they're flying away. Now, after the first 20 minutes of that recording, let's go to the next recording. There's nothing there at all. Maybe the occasional bat flying by. I did see the odd one. Let's have a zoom in there. Let's see what that is. Okay, there's some there. And this is, what's this period here? That's about 3.5 to 4 minutes. So it's the odd bat that's being picked up, that's just flying by. Let's have a look at the recording done in the previous video. Here we go. So this is a 14-minute recording. The bats started coming out around here, well actually back here, and then rather than flying away, they hung around and even more bats turned up. Let's zoom in here. If I remember this day, it was swarming with bats. If we have a look at this recording, it's just everywhere. There are bats all the way through. Very little breaks. Good sonar and hunting signals up here, and other signals down here. In the recording I made in the video before that, unfortunately, I didn't keep the audio, but it was very similar to this. And that was recorded very close to the site last night. Let's go back to the tripod view. So I was sitting back watching what was going on. The bats were leaving and just totally flying away. They weren't hanging around at all. And I noticed when the sun went down, it got really cold and there was a wind, and there were absolutely no bugs. There were no midges, there were no moths. When I started walking up to the site about an hour earlier, There were swarms of bugs in the air. There were moths. I thought I'd get eaten alive. Then as the sun went down, the temperature dropped and all the bugs disappeared. So I think when the bats came out of their hiding places, there was just nothing to eat. So they just kept flying. They flew away. I noticed this at the time and I decided to walk via the routes where I recorded in the previous sessions. And in those places, there were no bugs either. And while previously there were loads of bats flying around there, last night there were none. I didn't see a single bat from when I left that site via the 2 other sites all the way till I got home. Not a single bat. So this says to me, if there's no bugs, there's no bats. And to record bats in the future, I think I'm going to have to understand bat and bug behaviours. If we want to get a good recording, we need to go at the right time, not just randomly and waste our time. We need to know what the environmental conditions are, the bug life, and then of course the bat life. I mean, where did all the bats go? They've obviously flown off to another environmental area where there would have been a food source. Where was that? How far away was it? How far do bats fly to get food? I don't know. So what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to do a little bit of research, and over the next couple of months, I'll go out and do some test recordings in different locations and note the environment, the bugs and the bats, etc. So we could have all the equipment in the world, we could have the right settings, but if there's no bugs, there's no bats. Thanks for watching. See you next time.